I'm Jake Foster, 28 years old. I've always been the guy in the background, the son who never really lived up to the legacy. My older brother, Max, he was the one who always got the attention. From the time we were kids, he was the one who impressed everyone, our father, the company board, even our high school teachers. Me? I've always been the disappointment. The quiet one who never quite found his place in the world. Max was the golden boy, and I was the shadow. I'd never cared much for the corporate life, but somehow, it's the only thing that stuck. I ended up in tech, working at Cortec, a company that Max had helped elevate to new heights. I hated every moment of it. The late nights, the constant pressure, the expectations that never seemed to ease up. All of it was a reminder that I was nothing but a second-rate version of him. My job? A middle manager handling the technical side of things. My boss? A guy who couldn't care less about my skills. But then, my world was turned upside down in a way I never saw coming. It started with a weird email. Jake, it's me. We need to talk. Come to the office as soon as possible. The email was from Adam, the new CEO of Cortec. He was young, sharp, and had taken over after Max's departure. Adam had always been different from Max. A little colder, a little more calculating. I didn't trust him, but I respected the way he handled business. Or so I thought. The subject line caught my eye, urgent. When I arrived at the office, the atmosphere felt different, almost suffocating. The usual hum of keyboards and ringing phones was quieter today. I stepped into the elevator, pressing the button for the top floor where Adam's office was. As the doors closed, I felt my stomach tighten. Something wasn't right. I'd only been working for a few minutes when Adam walked in, looking sharp in a dark suit, eyes gleaming. He was holding something in his hand, a USB stick. Jake, I need you to come with me, he said. The tone in his voice made my spine prickle. I followed him to his office, where the dim lighting made everything feel more ominous than usual. Adam didn't even sit down before he slammed the USB onto the desk in front of me. I need you to explain this, he said coldly. I glanced down at the drive. My heart sank when I saw the label, Project Phoenix. That was my project. The one I'd been working on for 2 years. A project I had poured my soul into, my time, my sacrifices. A project that had been my one chance to prove myself. What's wrong with it? I asked, my voice tight. Adam smiled, but there was no warmth in it. You tell me. I looked at your files. It's all gone. I froze. Gone? He nodded. Deleted. Wiped clean. Gone. I felt the world tilt beneath my feet. It wasn't possible. I had backups. My system was secured. No one could access my files without me knowing. But there it was, staring at me, a threat I wasn't prepared for. Adam watched me struggle for words. You'll have to explain this. I'll be honest, Jake. I'm not sure how you missed this. But that project of yours, there's no way we can move forward without it. So, I suggest you get it back. And fast. A cold sweat ran down my back. He had to be lying. No one could have gotten in without me noticing. The idea that my work, my 2 years of effort, was gone, no backup, no trace, it didn't make sense. But Adam wasn't finished. By the way, Jake, he said with a cold smile, you've been a real disappointment lately. Maybe it's time for a change. My jaw tightened as I stood there, paralyzed. He was hinting at something darker than just a lost file. Something was off. Why would he lie about this? And more importantly, who would want to take down a project like mine? And then I heard it, the click of a mouse. I spun around to see Adam's secretary, a tall, blonde woman, standing in the doorway. Her expression was unreadable. She stepped forward, holding a tablet in her hand, a cryptic smile on her lips. We need to talk, she said, her voice low and dangerous. I could feel my pulse quicken. Something had just shifted. Something much bigger was at play. And I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to be caught in a storm. But how could I have known it would hit so fast? I turned to Adam, trying to hold my composure. "What's going on?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He looked at me with an unsettling calm. "You're about to find out, Jake. Brace yourself." As his secretary entered the room, a cold shiver ran down my spine. What was happening? Why was she involved? And then, in the silence that followed, I realized that my life was about to change forever. The storm had just begun. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? My mind kept replaying Adam's words over and over, like a broken record. It's all gone. Gone. The very thought of it made my stomach turn. My 2 years of hard work, a project that had the potential to secure my future, erased in an instant. But that's not even what terrified me the most. The thing that kept me awake wasn't the loss of my files, it was the feeling that someone was watching me. I couldn't shake the idea that my every move was being tracked, analyzed. I checked the locks on my doors 3 times before I finally gave up and buried myself in my work. The morning came too soon. I dragged myself into the office, exhausted and running on fumes. As I passed the main floor, I saw Adam's secretary, Jenna, talking to one of the IT guys. Her eyes flickered to me for a moment, and something in her expression made me pause. There was something off about her. She was too calm. Too collected. I tried to shake the feeling, but it wouldn't leave me. I couldn't focus, couldn't think clearly. My entire world had been flipped upside down in one meeting, and I had no idea who to trust anymore. I went straight to my desk, sat down, and started going through the backup files on my system, files that I was sure had been secure. But as I clicked through the folders, I felt my heart rate spike. No backup. The panic set in, like cold water crashing over me. Who would do this? Why? Suddenly, my phone buzzed on the desk. I glanced down, and the name on the screen made my blood run cold. It was Jenna. I picked it up hesitantly. "Jake," she said in that same unnervingly calm voice, "we need to talk. Meet me in the conference room, now." I hung up without saying a word and stood up, my legs shaky. Something was wrong. Something deeper than just a mistake with the files. I walked to the conference room with a sense of dread gnawing at my insides, as though I was walking into a trap. When I opened the door, I found Jenna standing by the window, looking out over the city skyline. She didn't turn when I entered, but her voice was sharp, cutting through the silence like a knife. "I know what you're thinking," she said, not looking at me. "But you're wrong." I swallowed hard. "Wrong about what?" She turned to face me, her eyes cold. "You think Adam's behind this, don't you? You think this is just some power play to ruin you?" I didn't say anything. She was right, I had thought that. But now, hearing her say it out loud, it felt different. "I'm telling you, Jake, that's not the case," she continued, walking toward me. "Adam's not the one who deleted your project." I narrowed my eyes. "Then who is?" She paused, her lips curling into a subtle, almost imperceptible smile. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Try me." She took a step closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "It's you, Jake. You're the one who deleted it." I froze. "What?" She stepped back, giving me a measured look. "The backup files were never uploaded. You never made them. All this time, you've been operating on a lie." I stared at her, the words sinking in. My brain refused to process what she was saying. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came out. "Think about it," Jenna said, her voice suddenly sharp. "You're not the one who's been working on the project, Jake. You were never supposed to be the one in charge of it. Adam didn't trust you with the final decision. You're a pawn in his game." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. The walls felt like they were closing in. Was she right? Had I been played this whole time? Suddenly, the door swung open. Adam entered the room, his face stone cold, his eyes dark with intent. "Jenna," he said, his voice carrying authority. "I asked you to stay out of this." Jenna didn't flinch, but the tension in the room was palpable. I could feel my pulse racing, the adrenaline kicking in. "I'm just telling Jake the truth," Jenna said, her tone challenging. Adam's eyes never left me. "The truth? Or your version of it?" My heart was pounding in my chest. I didn't know who to trust anymore, but I couldn't ignore the feeling that something was deeply wrong here. I turned to Adam, my mind spinning. "What's going on, Adam? Why are you doing this?" Adam's eyes softened for a brief moment, and then his lips curled into a tight smile. "You'll find out soon enough. But right now, I suggest you start paying attention, Jake. Things are about to get a lot more complicated for you." And then he left. The door clicked shut behind him, and I was left alone in the room with Jenna. I couldn't breathe. I was trapped in a nightmare. My project was gone, and the person I thought I could trust most, Adam, was the one pulling the strings. But Jenna. She was hiding something. I could feel it. She was watching me closely, waiting for my next move. I had to figure out who was behind this. I had to know who was playing me. But more than that, I needed to find the truth. And nothing, not Adam, not Jenna, was going to stop me from getting it. The room was too quiet, the walls too close. I was running out of time. I had to act before it was too late. I stood frozen, staring at Jenna as her words hit me like a truck. "You deleted it, Jake." I wanted to scream, to lash out. But nothing came out. The silence between us stretched for what felt like hours. My mind was spiraling, trying to process what she had just said. "You've got it all wrong," I muttered, my voice barely a whisper. "I didn't." "You didn't what?" Jenna interrupted, stepping closer, her heels clicking sharply on the floor. "You've been hiding behind that project like it was your ticket to something bigger. But it's over now." The room felt smaller, suffocating. The walls closed in as Jenna's words echoed in my head. It was true, wasn't it? I had been putting everything into that project. My entire future wrapped up in it. And now, it was gone. Wiped out. "Who told you that?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Who said I deleted it?" She smiled, a knowing look crossing her face. "Come on, Jake. You're not as clever as you think you are. Adam's not stupid. He knew this was going to happen. He knew you wouldn't be able to hold on to it. So, what's next? You gonna pretend you're the victim?" I took a step back, my head spinning. It wasn't just about the files. It was about something deeper, something I didn't understand. Why was Jenna so sure of herself? What did she know that I didn't? "You don't get it," I said, almost pleading. "I didn't." But before I could finish, the door to the conference room slammed open. Adam stood there, his presence like a shadow. He didn't say a word at first, just watched us with his cold eyes, as if measuring the tension in the room. Then, without a hint of emotion, he spoke. "Jenna, leave us." Jenna didn't argue. She just gave me one last look before she turned and left, the click of her heels fading down the hallway. Adam closed the door behind her, locking it with a sharp snap. "What's going on, Jake?" Adam asked, his voice low but steady. I didn't respond immediately. I was still trying to make sense of everything. My thoughts were a tangled mess. Jenna had planted the seed of doubt. Could she be telling the truth? Had I really messed up that badly? "I didn't do it," I finally said, my words coming out a bit stronger than I intended. "I didn't delete the files. I swear to God." Adam stepped forward, his face still unreadable. "Then explain to me why they're gone. All of them. 2 years of your work, gone in an instant." I looked at him, my heart racing. I don't know. I swear, I had backups. I made sure of it. But there's nothing left. The files are completely wiped. He tilted his head, studying me. Jake, he said, his voice dropping to a whisper, I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen people try to cover their tracks, try to hide the truth. But here's the thing you don't understand, everyone has a breaking point. Everyone eventually slips up. Are you accusing me? I snapped, my anger flaring for the first time. Adam didn't flinch. I'm not accusing you. I'm just asking you to be honest. With me. With yourself. The words stung. But they also felt like a challenge. I wanted to rise to it, to prove I wasn't the one who was sabotaging this whole thing. But the seed of doubt that Jenna had planted kept growing. Something wasn't right. I'm telling you, I didn't do it, I said again, more forcefully this time. Adam crossed the room, sitting down across from me. He leaned back in his chair, the cold light from the window casting long shadows across his face. He looked like a man who had everything under control, too much control. Jake, he said quietly, his eyes narrowing. I know what you're doing. You're trying to play the victim. But here's the thing. People who play the victim rarely ever get out of the situation they put themselves in. You need to stop lying to yourself. I could feel my pulse quicken. The walls were closing in again. I had no choice but to listen to him, no choice but to play along with whatever game he was setting up. But the longer I sat there, the more I felt something off, something deep in my gut telling me there was more to this story than either of us was admitting. Suddenly, my phone buzzed on the table. I glanced at it, but I didn't pick it up. Something about the way Adam was watching me made me hesitant. You're not answering that? Adam asked, his tone mocking. I shook my head, my thoughts racing. It's probably nothing. Just. The phone buzzed again, this time more insistently. My hand shook as I reached for it. The text message on the screen was from an unknown number. It read, You're being watched. The truth is closer than you think. I stared at the screen for a moment, my fingers going numb. I looked up at Adam, but he was already standing, walking toward the door. You need to figure this out, Jake, he said, his back turned. Before someone else does. And with that, he was gone. I was alone in the conference room now, the phone still in my hand, the message echoing in my mind. Who was watching me? And why? I needed answers. Fast. I didn't have much time. I barely had time to process Adam's cold words before the text from the unknown number flashed across my screen again. My heart skipped a beat as I reread it. You're being watched. The truth is closer than you think. My breath caught. I turned the phone over, as if that could somehow stop it from revealing more. But it didn't help. I was alone now, standing in the cold, sterile conference room. The door clicked shut behind Adam, leaving me in silence. It felt oppressive, like the walls themselves were closing in on me. There had to be a way out of this. I wasn't a criminal. I was just a guy trying to make something of himself. But then, what if I wasn't? What if I had already crossed a line I didn't see? No one ever thinks they're the villain in their own story. I shook the thought off and grabbed my coat, slinging it over my shoulders. The air felt thicker than usual as I walked toward the elevator. Every step seemed to echo louder, bouncing off the walls, almost mocking me. My phone buzzed again. I stopped. Another message, this time a phone number. The text beneath it was short, call me now. You have 1 minute. I didn't have to think twice. I dialed. Jake, the voice on the other end said. I'm not sure what Adam told you, but I need you to listen carefully. You're in deeper than you think. I stopped in my tracks. Who is this? Someone who knows what's really happening, the voice replied. Someone who's trying to stop it before it gets worse. And it's going to get much worse, Jake. I wanted to say something, but the words stuck in my throat. What was happening? Who was behind this? And why did this feel like a game that I hadn't signed up for? Listen to me, the voice continued, its tone urgent. You need to go to your office right now. Look inside your laptop's hidden files. You'll find everything you need. Before I could respond, the line went dead. I stared at the phone, the hum of the elevator in the background suddenly deafening. The screen in my palm felt like it had grown too heavy, too ominous. Hidden files. My head spun. It was almost too much to handle. What had I missed? What could possibly be hidden in the files that would explain all of this? I stepped into the elevator, my fingers trembling as I pressed the button for the top floor. My gut told me this was the beginning of the end, and I wasn't sure if I was ready for whatever came next. As the elevator doors closed, I glanced around, half expecting someone to jump out at me. Someone was watching. I could feel it. There was a weight in the air, a suffocating pressure that made the elevator ride feel like an eternity. The elevator stopped with a sharp jolt, the door sliding open. The silence on the other side was unbearable. My office door loomed ahead, its frosted glass door glowing faintly in the dim hallway light. I walked to the door, the floor beneath me seeming to shrink with each step. I paused just before entering. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just about the project anymore. This was something far bigger. I pushed the door open, stepping into the cool, metallic air of my office. The lights flickered for a moment, and then the steady hum of the computer filled the room. I headed straight for my desk and opened the laptop. The screen was locked, as usual. I typed in the password with a sense of urgency, knowing that I had mere moments to uncover whatever lay hidden. The login screen blinked. For the first time in days, I felt a sliver of hope. I clicked the folder titled Backups, but what I found there was worse than I expected. The files I thought I'd backed up were nowhere to be found. In their place was a new folder, titled Secrets. My heart skipped a beat. The folder wasn't empty. Inside was a document that was unlike any I had ever seen. It had my name at the top, but it was written in an encrypted code. I didn't have the slightest idea what it meant, but I felt a chill crawl up my spine. I opened the document, hoping to find some answers. As I read, everything I thought I knew about this whole situation began to unravel. The files had been deleted, but they weren't just erased. They had been transferred to someone else. Someone who had access to my work. Someone close to me. My blood ran cold. The document wasn't just a list of files, it was a chain of emails, conversations, and instructions. It was clear now, Adam wasn't just trying to take me down, he was playing a far more dangerous game, one that would drag me into a world I wasn't prepared for. The document ended with a single line, "You have one chance to stop this, Jake. If you fail, everything is over." I shut the laptop with a force that made the entire desk tremble. My heart raced, adrenaline pulsing through my veins. What was happening? Who was pulling the strings? And why did it feel like I was the one about to take the fall? I stood frozen for a moment, my mind scrambling to make sense of it all. Then, my phone buzzed again. A new message. "You're too late. They're coming for you now." I felt a cold rush of fear wash over me. There was no more time. I had to act fast. The only problem was, I didn't know where to start. The door behind me creaked open. I turned, but there was no one there. But I wasn't alone. Something was lurking just out of sight. The ringing in my ears hadn't stopped since the phone call. It was as if the world itself was vibrating, and I was the only one caught in its tremor. I could hear the words from the mysterious voice echo in my mind, like a dark mantra, "You have one chance to stop this." My hands were shaking as I clicked open the hidden folder on my laptop. The screen seemed brighter now, almost blinding in its intensity. I scanned through the documents, too many to process in a single glance. But there, at the bottom of the file list, was something that caught my eye, a timestamp, an old email from nearly 3 months ago. The sender's name was unfamiliar, Jordan Reed. I hesitated. It was all too much. Every instinct told me to turn off the laptop, walk away, and forget this whole mess. But I couldn't. Not now. Not when I knew someone out there was playing me, someone who had access to my every move. One chance, the voice had said. I clicked on the email, my breath hitching in my chest. The subject line was blunt, "You're in this, whether you like it or not." My stomach dropped. I opened it. "The board knows about your project, Jake. They're not happy with the way things are going. Adam's got a plan to take you down, and you're already in his sights. I can't help you, but there's something bigger coming your way." That was it. A few cryptic lines. A threat? A warning? I slammed the laptop shut. My fingers pressed against my temples as the pressure mounted, a headache splitting my skull. I needed answers. I couldn't just sit here and let someone toy with me. The office was silent now, almost too silent. I glanced toward the window. The city stretched out beneath me, a landscape I no longer recognized. Who could I trust now? I pulled myself together and made my way to the door. The hallway felt too empty, like a vacuum pulling me in. When I stepped outside, the cold air hit my face, and for a moment, I felt awake again. Alive. But the weight of what I was about to do hung over me like a shadow. I had no idea where this trail would lead, but I had to follow it. I reached the elevator and pressed the button for the parking garage. The elevator doors closed with a quiet whoosh, and I was alone with my thoughts, the pressure mounting again. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, expecting the unknown number again. But this time, it was a text from Adam. "Meet me at the office in 30 minutes. We need to talk." My heart raced. I hadn't expected this so soon. I stared at the message, my pulse quickening. If Adam was behind all of this, what was his play now? I was running out of time. The elevator jolted to a stop on the ground floor. I stepped out and headed straight for my car. The engine roared to life as I hit the gas, the tires screeching against the pavement. The office building loomed in the distance. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me, that I wasn't alone in this. As I reached the entrance to the parking garage, I saw something that made my stomach lurch. A black sedan was parked just outside, its headlights cutting through the fog. The car was familiar. Too familiar. I tried to ignore the gnawing sense of dread, but it wouldn't go away. My eyes locked on the license plate. It was the same car I had seen parked outside my apartment last week. "Someone's been following me," I muttered under my breath, barely able to process the thought. I parked and stepped out of the car, my senses heightened, every movement deliberate. My footsteps echoed as I crossed the parking lot, the air thick with tension. This wasn't just a meeting. This was a trap. Inside the building, I could see the lights flickering in the hallway ahead. I wasn't sure if it was just the poor wiring or if something else was happening. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back. But I couldn't. Not now. I reached the floor where Adam's office was located. The hallway was eerily quiet, save for the hum of the air conditioning. As I moved closer, I noticed a shadow pass under the door. Someone was inside. I knocked once. No answer. I knocked again. Louder this time. The door creaked open, and Adam stood there, his face pale, eyes wide with something I couldn't quite read. "You wanted to talk," I said, stepping inside. "So let's talk." Adam closed the door behind me, locking it with a soft click. The silence between us stretched. I could feel the weight of his gaze. It was like he was trying to figure out if he could trust me. But I wasn't sure if I could trust him anymore. Not with everything that had happened. "I didn't want it to go this far, Jake," Adam said, his voice shaky. "But you need to understand something. There are people involved in this, people much higher up than you think." "What do you mean, higher up?" I asked, taking a step closer, trying to read his body language. Adam's eyes flickered toward the desk. I followed his gaze. The top drawer was half open. My heart skipped a beat. I knew what that drawer contained. It was where Adam kept the files on everything. My project. The whole plan. And what had been deleted. I never meant for it to happen like this, Adam muttered. But once you start, you can't stop. The pieces were starting to fall into place, but I wasn't sure what the full picture looked like yet. I leaned in, my voice low. Who's behind this, Adam? Who's pulling the strings? For a moment, he didn't answer. His eyes darted back to the drawer. The tension in the room thickened, like we were both waiting for something to happen. I could feel the minutes dragging by, the seconds ticking louder than they ever had before. Adam opened his mouth to speak. But before he could say anything, the door to the office crashed open. A tall figure stepped in, blocking the doorway. Jake, the voice said. I froze. It wasn't Adam's voice. It was a voice I had never heard before. And then, without warning, the lights went out. You should have never come here. The words echoed through the darkness. And just like that, the game had begun. I stood in the middle of the office, the deafening silence wrapping around me like a shroud. The room felt colder now, darker than before. Adam had been dragged away by the people I could never see clearly, those shadowy figures who'd controlled everything from the start. The walls had ears, and they were listening, but for the first time, it didn't matter. The truth was out. At least, the parts that needed to be. I had lost everything, my project, my trust, my peace. And yet, here I was, staring at a blank screen, with the email from the mysterious Jordan Reed still open in front of me. The message that had started it all. I'd finally understood that this wasn't just a corporate betrayal, it was something much bigger. Someone had pulled the strings for far longer than I'd ever imagined. The board knows about your project, Jake. They're not happy with the way things are going. Adam's got a plan to take you down. A plan. A plan that involved more than just one person. That email had been a warning, but I hadn't seen it for what it was. I had thought it was another betrayal, another empty threat. Now, I knew better. I closed my laptop, my hands shaking with the weight of it all. The world outside the office window looked as indifferent as it had when I first came to this building. Nothing had changed. Except for me. I wasn't the same man who had stepped into this place weeks ago. I was someone else, someone who had learned the hard way that power, loyalty, and truth weren't things you simply demanded. They were things you fought for, at any cost. To be a person in this world is to always be one step away from being lost, a voice inside my head reminded me. It was a harsh truth, but it was my truth now. I took a deep breath and stood up, my mind working through the final pieces of the puzzle. There was no going back. The person who had been behind all of this, who had been pulling Adam's strings, had been far closer than I thought. Closer than anyone could have guessed. It was the board. They had been the ones orchestrating everything from the shadows. But there was something more, a final twist that even I hadn't seen coming. The office door creaked open. I froze. A figure stepped in, the silhouette too familiar. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed off the walls, and my heart skipped. I didn't have to look to know who it was. Adam had been right, he hadn't been the one who truly betrayed me. It was someone else entirely. Jake, she said, her voice as cold as the steel of the door that had just closed behind her. I felt the breath leave my lungs. The last person I expected, my own sister. Emma. I guess you figured it out by now, Emma continued, her smile sharp, her eyes cold, devoid of the sister I thought I knew. I did what I had to do, Jake. You're just too naive. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't happening. Not here, not now. What did you do? She walked towards me, every step measured, every movement precise. It was clear now, she was in control. Everything, Emma said, her voice smooth, too smooth. You were never supposed to win. But you did. And now you've ruined it all. The board's pissed, Jake. They're ready to bring you down, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. I could feel the walls close in. My throat tightened. It was her. Emma had been the one pulling the strings, guiding me towards a fall. The sudden realization hit me like a punch to the gut. All of it, the project, the false promises, the pressure, was part of her plan. She wanted everything I had. And now, I saw the price she was willing to pay for it. You always thought you were the one who was going to change everything, didn't you? She mocked, walking around my desk like a predator circling its prey. But some people play the long game, Jake. Some of us have to do things that the good guys don't. I stood frozen, unsure if I should stand my ground or run. But running wouldn't save me. It never had. Emma had always been the smarter one, the one who played by the rules of the system. I had been a fool to think we could work together. You used me? I could barely speak, the words felt like they were choking me. She shrugged, her eyes flashing with something dark, something I couldn't place. Used you? No, Jake. I gave you a purpose. I gave you the opportunity you could never have achieved on your own. I took a step back, trying to keep my composure. But my heart was pounding. And now you're going to destroy me? Over a damn project? Emma's smile faltered just for a moment, but it was enough. This isn't just about a project. It's about power. Control. And I've been trying to build something for myself, for us. But you always wanted more, didn't you? You always wanted to outshine me. I could feel the rage bubbling up, but I kept it contained. If I lost it now, I'd be giving her what she wanted. I wasn't that person anymore. How much longer do you think you can hide behind this lie? I asked, my voice steady, despite the growing storm inside. You're not untouchable, Emma. You're not above it all. Eventually, the truth comes out. She paused. Her eyes flickered for the briefest second, a small crack in her icy facade. But it was gone as quickly as it came. Don't worry, Jake, she said softly, the truth has always been here. Right in front of you. The world seemed to stop in that moment. The room felt smaller. The lights overhead buzzed. Emma turned and left without another word, the door slamming behind her. I stood there, motionless, unsure of what had just happened. But I knew one thing for sure, the final move was mine. I wasn't going to let her win. Not this time. The truth had always been there, waiting for me to see it. And now, it was my turn to make it right. To fix the pieces she had broken and take back everything that was mine. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the one who would take control.